Good morning, America. Good afternoon from Germany. It is Thursday, almost the end of February. And we have some GDP data today and initial jobless claims like every Thursday. So some major movements, maybe right above the 12,000 points level of Nasdaq future. Let's see what happened yesterday on FOMC meeting minutes. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to live stream because I had a local option trader meeting here in my hometown, but we will have a look on the charts to see what happened there. My trading platform is about to start, so just a couple of seconds and I can show you the charts. But we can begin with the economic calendar for today and CME FedWatch tool. So let me bring this up for you here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do it. Then you will be informed every time I go live. And let's see here now the news today. CPI data year over year was really high in Europe. As you can see, it was 8.6%. So it was like expected, but core CPI was a little bit higher than expected, 5.3 instead of 5.2%. So a small dip down, but nothing special for the US market. But we will have GDP data in about 11 minutes. As you can see here, for Q4, the forecast is 2.9%, so pretty high number. Let's see if it stays there. The previous number was also 2.9%. So let's see if the number stays the same, or if we will have a higher than expected number. Then this will probably cause some dropping of the market, because the fear of higher inflation is back, and we can see this right away here on FOMC FedWatch tool. Here we see in 27 days is the next Federal Reserve meeting, and now we see the big shift in the interest rate expectations. We now have 27% expectation for a 50 basis points move from 4.75% to 5.25%. And if we look back previous week, 1 week ago, it was just 15% and it went up to 27%. So it almost doubled the expectation for a higher interest rate hike here. 25 basis points, only 73% left. And the probabilities for the next meetings, we see higher steps here. 25 more basis points in May and 25 more basis points in June. This should be Fed pivot. 5.5%. So let's see if it changes on the Q4 GP data today in about 9 minutes. So now my trading platform has started and we can look at Nasdaq charts. So here you see the drop from pre-market when the European market were open about 1 hour 20. And let's see this on a day chart where we are right now. So like expected, we had the perfect setting here at the Fibonacci retracement of 38.2%. We went down a little bit lower, and this was the reason I was stopped out. I was talking in my live stream yesterday that I will be stopped out on the low of the days, and we were just went a little bit lower than the low of the days. Let's see this on a 15-minute time frame so I can show you a little bit better. So I was live streaming here, and you see that we went a little bit lower on market open and made lows here of 12,034 points. So right below the 12,060 level, which was the pre-market support. So I got stopped out here. But as soon as I saw this doji candle, you can clearly see it here on a 15-minute time frame, this doji candle on a 15-minute time frame, right at the lows here. This was indicating a turn of direction. And therefore I stepped in right away in a long position again. So I missed about maybe 2 points here from the stop out and re-entry. So nothing special, but you can see now that the price was rising again, retested the lows and closed higher. And especially after market, the prices rallied. Why? Because we had the earnings of Nvidia, and they did present better earnings than expected, higher earnings per share, higher a better outlook, and therefore the stock went up more than 7% after hours. We can look at it right away, and yeah, this caused the whole market to go up. So let's see Nvidia. I will just bring up the chart. Nvidia is one of the bigger ones from Nasdaq. It has a heavy weight and therefore we went higher yesterday. Let's just see this after hours. So here you see the big push to the upside from the closing, more than 9.5%, and we are even higher now, right at the $230 level. So let's just see this on a day chart. We are pushing back to the previous resistance levels, as you can see. So pretty strong stock right now, one of the AI stocks like Microsoft, Google and Nvidia. So they were presenting better than expected numbers and therefore all the other AI stocks also went up, and this causes Nasdaq to rise. So let's see the weighting of Nvidia in Nasdaq. Just bring this up for you so that you can see what the impact on Nasdaq is if Nvidia is rising. So you see here Nvidia is the fourth largest stock in Nasdaq with a weight of about 4.2%. We also had the numbers yesterday of eBay and Lucid. So if we look for eBay, this is only 89th largest stock, and eBay was down 5%, but the weighting is only 0.2%. So it's a lot less than Nvidia and almost has no impact on Nasdaq. The same for Lucid, also presented the worse than expected numbers and 13% down. So, but the weighting is only 0.1%, so even less than eBay. So there's no impact from these stocks, and we have to look at the big ones like Nvidia, which have a big impact on the index. So it's good to see that everything is working like expected. We see the turning point on a day chart here with this doji candle right at the Fibonacci support, and now we push back. So we talked about this yesterday. My favorite target would be here at the 20 and 9 EMA level. This should be the first resistance, and then we could have a higher resistance here back at the 12,400 level. Let's see what can happen today, but we can easily push back 100 or 200 more points to the upside, and we would be right back at the 12,400 level. There I would close my longs, my whole long position. So I will close out half here and the second half here. I don't want to hold it too long because you see how risky it is to trade here against the trend, because it is now a downtrend because we broke the previous lows clearly. It's still sideways trading, but it's not looking too good here, especially for ES, for S&P 500. If we go there, we see that the index already moved back 50% or more. Just redraw these Fibonacci levels here. So previous high point and previous low point, if we go back to December here. So this was previous low point, and you now see yesterday we closed right at the 50% Fibonacci level. So this is an interesting correction here, and we should go back to the 4,050 points today or in the next days. This should be the next resistance to the upside. And yeah, so a little bit more weakness for S&P 500 than for Nasdaq, but we will see what will happen on Q4 data today. Let's move on with the commodities before the news come out. Natural gas, let's see. Natural gas futures, where is it? Here, futures, May. So we went lower the day before yesterday and recovered yesterday, but we are still trying to push here at the 9 EMA moving average, and weren't able to push above. Still struggling here at the $2.50 area. Let's see what we will get today on the crude oil inventory numbers. Maybe this also affects natural gas, but for now it's still downtrending strong. I am still in my short put position. It's at the money strike, $2.50. So I'm still profiting from every day passing by and nothing happening because of theta decay. Then we will have crude oil here. Crude oil still moving down a little bit higher today, 1.3%. But we talked about it, that there will be here the neckline. So we will probably retest the neckline at around $73 and then on the second push, if we go lower, then it should act as a resistance. So let's see if we will go lower here on this on this level here. It's not loading my chart. Yes, here it is. So this is a shoulder, head, shoulder formation. As you can see, first shoulder here, head here, second shoulder here, and this is the neckline right at the 72.50 in the $73 area. So if we push here, this should act as a support on the first attempt, and on the second one we should go lower. Let's see what will happen there when we are there. I have no position right now in crude oil. Let's see Wix. Wix is pulling back from the high points of yesterday. We were at 23.6. It's pulling back because the markets are rising again, but overall we see that there's some more fear coming up, even if we are here on gravestone doji for the week, but that has nothing to say because it can change really quickly. As you have seen last week, we had the opposite, a big hammer here, and it can change really quick. So let's move on with Tesla before the numbers are out. So Tesla was pulling back above the 200 area. So if we go on a 15-minute time frame, you saw the lows yesterday were at $191.83, and from there we pushed higher to the closing. The closing was here 4.6% higher from day lows yesterday, and pre-market we are back again at the $204 area, but it's still sideways trading, as you can see, between these 190 and 215 area. So we are waiting for the breakout to the upside or to the downside. To the downside, next target would be 170 or 160, and to the upper side there will be $230 as a resistance area. So just waiting for it. I'm still in my bear call spread, 250 strike short call and 260 strike long call. So just waiting, and yeah, time is in my favor here. Okay, now back to Nasdaq, and let's see the movements on a 1-minute time frame when GDP data is out. Here is the news, so we can see both. In 15 seconds the news will be out. It's not an important news like CPI, but it can still have some impact here, especially if the number is higher than expected. If it's like expected, then probably no impact. Oh, it's lower than expected. This should be good for the market, so less fear of higher inflation. Initial jobless claims 192k, forecast was 200k, so no big risk from there. But the other thing is GDP price index is higher than expected. This is not a good sign, 3.9% instead of 3.5%. And the market is dropping back to VWAP 12,200 points. Now there is fear of higher inflation. That's not good. GDP price index still showing the pressure from inflation side here. And market is dropping. So now you have both, and you can interpret what is more important. So this is a 3-star event, this is only 2-star, but you see how the market reacts. So this one is more important for the market because it's a lot higher than expected with 3.9 instead of 3.5%. But we can still see a reversal and make higher prices today. Just be patient and wait, it's still 1 hour before the market is open. Still a low volume here. So let's see the important levels for Nasdaq. Pre-market lows here. Let's draw another line. This was pre-market low, 12,150 points. So 50 points below the current price level. Pre-market high was this level. This is 12,240. So these are the important levels. As long as we are moving in between these levels, nothing special will happen. We are right at the VWAP now, psychological level of 12,200 points. It seems that the market wants to hold above. And you see we were above all the moving averages. Parabolic is still showing an uptrend on a 15-minute time frame here, but ADX is about to cross, so showing some signs of weakness, but it's not a strong trend right now because we were just sideways trading pre-market here. On a 1-minute time frame, of course, we already went to a downtrend here. Parabolic was moving to the upside, indicating a downtrend, and ADX has crossed here, showing some signs of strength here with a red line at about 27. We are now below 12,200 points. We will probably retest the pre-market lows and then see the reaction there. 40 more points if we will retest the 12,150 level. But you can see how quick we went back here from the lows. So let's see where the market can turn. I wouldn't go against the trend here and enter a long too early. I will always wait for some signs like we had yesterday with the doji here at the lows. And the same happened here. So you can see there was the doji. This was an interesting point to go long. So I would just take some time until the price finds its final direction. Already pulling back, so bulls seem to be strong today. And we still have more than 10 minutes to close this red candle here. And if we move back and close above the parabolic, it is still indicating an uptrend. Okay, Rocket is still holding his short position. Yeah, depending on your time frame, it's not too bad because we are still in this downtrend. So even if we move back to 12,400, you can still stay short if you want to hold it over several days or weeks. So if you are a swing trader, it's not bad to be in a short position. Where would you rebuy, Rishi? So if we wouldn't be in a position, I would wait for pre-market lows to buy in or to wait for a sign here of a turn. So you often see here at the high points or at the low points, you often see these dojis here. So I would look for one on a 15-minute time frame. You can also use on a 5-minute time frame, but they better work on a 15-minute time frame. Like here, you see this doji here, and like yesterday, this doji here. They indicate an early turning point. And this is what I want to see to enter position. So this is a 1 hour time frame. But you still see this is not a big range here. 12,034 points was the low, and the high points was 12,239. So this is just a 250 point range. Nothing really big here for Nasdaq, just sideways trading. So we need a breakout to the up or down side, and right below the low of yesterday is a psychological 12,000 level, which should also act as a support. So I would wait for a clear break to the downside before I turn my position to a short. I have just a small position here, as you can see, 10 micro Nasdaq long. It's just one bigger NQ future long. It's not a big position for me, because I'm acting here against the main trend, but I still can make some money if the market is pulling higher. Let's see how the market reacts on the opening in about 1 hour. So now we want to see the shift in the expectations. So let's go to CME FedWatch tool, and we now see 27% for 50 basis point move and 73% for the 25 basis points. No big changes here, but it can change within the day. So just be cautious, because the market is still shifting a lot here with expectations for the next interest rate decisions. So let's prepare for the next news. The next news will be nothing special today, just crude oil inventories. FOMC member Bostic is speaking, and we will have a 7-year note auction, but this is nothing special here. I will just look out for the 3-star events. So tomorrow there's one more core PCE price index. This one will be important because again, inflation is key here, and new home sales half an hour after the market is open. These two will be important tomorrow, so I will try to live stream core PCE price index 1 hour before the market is open, and then we will see if it can act as a catalyst again. So next week we'll have pending home sales and core durable goods on Monday, CB consumer confidence on Tuesday, ISM manufacturing PMI on Wednesday, and on Friday ISM non-manufacturing PMI. So these will be the most important ones next week. So still some decent news. Let's see what we can have next week. But for now, I would wait for the breakout, for a clear breakout to the upside to take on more longs if you want to go long. I have enough, so I don't want to go in with more. I will just wait for my levels to come, close half the position at here the moving averages, 20-day and 9-day EMA on a day chart, and close the rest right at the 12,400 level, which is about here at this Fibonacci level, sitting at 12,430 points. So these are my two targets for my 10 contracts here. Big drop at 8:30. Will this affect the trend for today? I was expecting an uptrend. It will affect, of course, because the news always affect, even if we are still early here. Probably all the traders who can only act when the market is open will look at the news again, and then we can maybe see again a drop on market open. But as you can see, bulls are still strong, so they are trying to push back here, and the same thing will happen on market open. So I wouldn't say this is a big issue here for the bulls, because we are still higher than pre-market lows. You see this big dip here was lower, and therefore we still have some room to retest the lows from pre-market, and we are far away from the lows of yesterday. These lows were 12,034 points, so we have more than 100 points from the pre-market lows to retest the lows of yesterday. So I would just be cautious, but I wouldn't be in a worry. Okay, you are long since yesterday, so you have the same position than I have. My Fibonacci has the same area. I'm long currently and will be shorting when we go up another 1 or 2% if we show resistance. I'm trading QQQ, so not futures. Yeah, but QQQ has the same movement like the Nasdaq future. So you can just look at the future for the important price levels and trade it on a QQQ ETF. You will have the same resistance and support levels like on the future. So let's talk about shorting here. I tried to short at the 12,800, but I just missed the entry because the high point was 12,792 points. So it was barely below the previous lows, below the previous highs here of 12,818 points. And you see how fast it went down. So unfortunately I missed to enter with a smaller position here. But I want to see a smaller recovery now up here to the 12,400 level, and then I will look out for a turning point here, maybe at the 12,400 area. And as soon as I see a turning point, I will go short again, but I will wait for this area to come. Just want to go out with the longs early enough, and then with no position wait for a new short entry, because you see ADX will cross soon again, probably when we turn to the downside, and parabolic is already showing a downtrend here. So I would wait for a short entry. If you don't want to trade long, just stay at the sideline and watch for a nice entry to a short trade. Like always, no investment advice. It's just my own ideas here, just for entertainment purposes, but you know how to take it. What's your stop? So my stop is right here below the 12,000. I don't want to be stopped out again at the same area like yesterday. So my stop is right below the 12,000 at the 11,985. So if we go there, I will be stopped out. But my target is here minimum 12,300 and the next target 12,400. So I can still make some money to the upside here. When is a good advice? When is a good advice? When is a good timing to enter TLT? Yeah, TLT is the bond ETF. So let's talk about TLT. You have seen the expectations for the interest rates, and you see we are still far away from a Fed pivot, because this one will be at 5.5% in June, and therefore we still have some room for the bonds to pull back, because on higher interest rate levels the bond prices will turn lower. So I think we will probably retest the previous lows here from February if the expectations stay the same or get even higher, and therefore I would wait for a long entry here. It's not a really good sign to go long in this short trend here. I would wait for a pull back above 110 or higher to enter long trades, or just for a shift in the interest rate expectation. So you can look at TLT or you can look at CME FedWatch tool. It offers both the same. So if you go to the FedWatch tool and go to the probabilities here, you see the expectations for the next Federal Reserve meetings. And if you see a shift to the upside to higher interest rate levels, then probably TLT will turn to the downside. And if we see a shift here to lower interest rate levels, then TLT should turn higher. So you can look at both and take your own decisions, or just do a technical analysis. But both are now showing technical analysis, and the probabilities for the interest rate levels are both showing that it's pretty weak. Signs of weakness here for TLT, downtrending, and I wouldn't go long here right now. So back to Nasdaq, or do you have other stocks? Let's talk about some Forex. Here you still see an Euro USD that the US dollar is getting stronger. So this is an early sign for the stock market to turn down, because the money is flowing back into US dollars as a safe haven. It's not a good sign for the stock market. So this is an early sign. We still can see 1 or 2 days to the upside in the stock markets, but I will always have a look at the strength of the US dollar, and the US dollar is getting stronger here for the second or third consecutive week now. This is not a good sign for the stock market. So then US dollar Japanese yen is interesting. Why? Because we were talking about this 138 level here in, maybe it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I was talking about this shoulder formation, but then we went lower just for a false breakout here to make lower lows. We were still in this downtrend area here, but then we had a breakout here. As you can see, we were talking about this, and now we are trending higher. Why? Because yesterday there were news from the Bank of Japan, the Japanese central bank, that they had to fight the markets for lower interest rate levels on the 10-year bond, because they want to keep the 10-year bond below 0.5%, and it was at 0.01%. So they had to act, and they bought some bonds with a 5 to 10 year maturity. And what does this to the Japanese yen? It weakens the Japanese yen, because there's more money now in the system, and this weakens the Japanese yen against the US dollar. So for $1 you will get 135 Japanese yen now, and probably we will see higher levels. 138 would be my first target here. Maybe we will see even higher levels, maybe back to 140 or higher, because it's difficult to fight against inflation and at the same time try to keep the interest rates low and not to have too high interest rates for the government. So let's see how this will be in the next weeks and month. But I see more weakness to come for the Japanese yen and more strength for the US dollar. Does Luna have room to the downside? Smart to short at open. Luna, let's see Luna, because Lucid numbers were not the best. So intuitive machines here. Is this a penny stock? It was a penny stock just 2 weeks ago. Let's see it on a day chart. It went from $10 to 135. Crazy. Okay. Yes, it probably will come down. The question is just when. So let's see how high the short interest is here on Finwiz. Lunar. So short float is pretty low here, but these numbers can be 2 weeks old. And because we have seen this big spike here, there will probably be a higher short float right now. So we cannot say where the high point will be, but probably this is a too high price from $10 to 135 in just 2 weeks. Is not really healthy movement. So I would wait because you see the last time we went down just 2 days and then made an even higher squeeze. But you can also enter a short here, and as soon as we go above the previous high point, I would go out. So, but here you have a high risk because the high point is 23% away. So you will have to have a low target, maybe here at previous low points or even lower. And yeah, you will risk a lot. So if you would do this and short here, you will have to do it with a small amount of money because there's a high risk on the upside. You can do a lot of money here when we go higher by 23% because of these big moves. So I would wait and not short it too early because there can always be another squeeze to the upside and you can see higher levels. So let's use a Fibonacci retracement here from the breakout at the $10 area. So this was high point, this is low point. Now we see this acts as a support here, 38% Fibonacci. And yeah, maybe we can pull back above the 100 area. So I would wait for a little bit higher levels if I would want to enter a short trade here and not enter with a big amount of money, because you would still have a lot of risk here if we go higher in a short amount of time. And this can happen pretty fast, like you have seen yesterday here with these pushes. So from the low point to the high point here, this was aftermarket. So aftermarket, we had a movement of 50%. And this is just crazy how fast this stock can move on this low float. And therefore always be cautious if you want to short some stocks like these. Yeah. Okay. What else do we have? We were talking about Tesla. Let's see Palantir. Palantir was moving lower yesterday, almost reached the $8, but you see the low was $8.16, so we still have some room to the $8. Let's see pre-market data here. So the low point yesterday $8.16, the high point today $8.60 again. So big moves here for Palantir, more than 5%, but on a day chart without the after hours, we still see that there is a gap. So still some room to pull back to the $8 or maybe even lower. I would still wait if we want to enter a long trade, because I think that we will close almost part of this open gap here. Yeah, with what else do we have? Sugar. Sugar is just trading sideways, so it's just on my watch list, but it's not really interesting to trade it right now because there's no major movement to the up or down-side, so I would wait for it. But more interesting was orange juice. We are pulling back now and we are right at the resistance level from the Fibonacci here. So this can be interesting to enter an early short, but I would only do it really, really small because we can push even higher here as the open gap. So if you want to enter early here with maybe one contract, but probably we will close this open gap here, and I want to short in more here at this $2.45 area, because then the gap is closed and we will probably see more pushing to the downside. A lot of commercials are selling orange juice contracts right now. It's not one of the most liquid traded contracts, as you can see, about 500 contracts per day, but there can still be more squeeze to the upside to close this open gap here. So back to Nasdaq. Where are we right now? Pull back above VWAP, and you see Doji here This is a 5-minute doji, so this can be an early sign for an uptrend. Let's see this on a 15-minute time frame. So if we would close this candle where we opened, this can be an interesting sign for a change of direction to the upside, and then we will probably retest the highs instead of the lows. I won't take on more longs, I already have enough. But it's looking good for the bulls here. But we have to wait for market open to see more volume, because we always need volume to see confirmation of the breakouts for higher levels. Okay, I think it's not really interesting to watch the charts like paint dry. So if you have some more questions, just write them down below the recording of this live stream or ask them on the Discord. And we will see us tomorrow, 1 hour before the market opens, for the next economic news. Have a nice trading day. Wish you some nice profits. We will see us tomorrow. If you like the stream, then please give a like and subscribe to my channel. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.